Right, guys, hello and welcome back to the Once You're In podcast. This is now episode number 18. I've got a meal, so Reece, tell me about your prep, and I'll get my meal in while you're rambling on.
Fantastic timing. So hopefully everyone's doing well. Another week ticked off. We are now sat 7 weeks and 5 days. 5 days out. Exciting, that's for sure. Everything seems to be moving forward in the right directions. Finn's just adjusting his camera so you can see his meal. Not much bigger. His arms are just looking fantastic in that medium ASOS oversized tee.
It's actually a large Nike.
Large Nike, God, mate, you're lucky you can still wear large. I can't.
Nike are doing these nice new, thick, oversized tees. They're quite nice. I think it's large. It might be an extra large.
I don't think it is, mate.
Might be.
I think it'd be a bit bigger if it was an XL on you.
Mate, I'm massive now. You not see that post I put on my story?
What post? The 200-pound post?
Most muscular.
Oh, yeah, huge, mate.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Yeah, 200 pounds, probably the softest man alive when you get to 210, but you'll be like, oh, I'm still in all right condition.
I don't think, well, if I do get to 210, it'll take a while.
Yeah.
Anyway, go
on. Right. So 7 weeks, 5 days. Everything seems good. Feel back to myself post little illness. Obviously, the last podcast we had, I kind of went over an outline of how I was feeling. I was feeling pretty battered. I feel far better. From Saturday, I felt pretty decent. To be fair, Thursday I felt all right. Like Wednesday, Thursday, I was better. And then I just felt better every single day, which has been a bit of a strange kind of... It's strange because I feel better, but I still feel pretty meh. But because I feel better than I did a week ago or a bit longer, I feel really good. So everything seems to be pretty decent. No major changes really since the last podcast. I feel like it's come around really quickly this week. But I think it's because we were on Pearson's podcast the other day, so yeah. I feel like we might be repeating ourselves on that. And as a matter of fact, actually, we'll put up a thing. So I'm not too sure if by the time this is uploaded, Pearson's uploaded it, but Pearson.Tustin, is that his surname? Yeah. We basically, guys who are listening to this, if you want more Reece and Finn content, we actually get interviewed by Pearson. It was a real good podcast to be on. I'm not too sure if he's gonna split it up into parts. It was like an hour and a half, hour and 45 that we were on it, but it'll be split up into a few parts. So check out his Instagram. We'll most likely share it to our stories when it's up. But it was actually quite good to be on a podcast where we actually got asked questions. I really enjoyed it. I know you said it was decent. So yeah, that was that. But all in all, from like an overall kind of standpoint, training's in a good spot, nutrition's in a good spot-ish, getting a little bit more hungry, like I say hungry energy wise. I just feel a bit more like, I feel like I'd like to have a bit more food available, so I feel a bit more myself, but everything else seems to be pretty okay. Visual look is definitely getting there. My back is getting leaner, which is nice because my back is very fat in comparison to my front. Wait, you're looking at me like that, Fogan? To be fair, like no, my back is actually, which is that's the number one. My front, I could just push aggressively for 3 weeks and it would be sound. My back's still pretty fat, so there's been a slight improvement in my back, which is nice from a composition standpoint, but it'll be good to see. Let's say a few weeks from now, I'm guessing it will most likely be probably where my front is, and therefore that gives me pretty much 5 weeks to bring it home, should we say, and I should be all good. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. There's not really too much that needs to be covered upon my end. I think last week there was a lot. Is there any questions that you have, Finn? Anything that I need to go through?
I was going to say, not made any changes this week, have you?
No, not really. Like I go through, I think I outlined this a few podcasts ago, but I kind of like the idea of being quite aggressive for a decent amount of time. And I like the thought process of once you're in a deficit and once everything's moving forward, you don't need just to create a bigger deficit. Like there's no real need. If I was miles behind, or let's say if I was miles ahead, there could be reference to almost making bigger changes. But right now, like everything seems to be moving forward in the right directions. Cardio is all good. Nutrition's all good. Training's all good. Like if I can ride this out for as long as possible, then so be it. There will be probably changes coming.
I think
I'll be under
couple of weeks. I'd say in like a week or two, just to get you back catching up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think like my front, it's a strange one because like my front isn't ready. It's not ready, but like
but it's not ready. But this is how I quite like to look at it.
Yeah.
If you stood on stage, you wouldn't look out of place.
No,
from the front, but from the back you would.
Yeah, I think from the front, you'd look at me and go, "Oh, he's just soft."
Not even that much though. You'd be like, I could be a bit leaner, like because obviously you could, but mate, people compete a lot fatter than that. Like it's crazy. But from the back, you'd be like, shit, he's pretty soft. Like, but from the front, it's almost like with a good tan and good lighting, you probably get away with it. Like you're not, you're nowhere near where you want to be. But mate, you've seen how people compete. Like I'm saying, you wouldn't stand out like a sore thumb being really soft.
Yeah,
I don't think you would.
No, I get that. That's fair enough. It's funny to think that because like I'm convinced.
You don't even that feels like.
Oh no,
you're not.
The psychological component is huge. But yeah, I'm convinced. I'm like, oh, I'm still fat. Still got, because you get into that progressive mindset of like, you're soft, you're fat. You know, you've got more to come off. And like I said,
still a good amount.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm lucky from my front is because I put on a decent amount of size over the last little gaining phase. I think the barbell pressing, start of the year, like getting my numbers up, like frequency was in a good spot. Progressions were the best they ever were on presses. I feel like, in a way, the muscularity that I added has almost masked not the level of condition, but my front looks leaner because I have more muscle on my front. That's pretty simple. Where my back has always had a decent amount of tissue there, but it's also a place that I seem to hold a decent amount of fat on as well. So it's almost just one of them. You were saying like the width is really good, but it's still fat. Like it's funny because I haven't lost any width on my back. Like it's not where I'm like looking narrower and it's like, right, well, your back's just looking a bit flat or there's less of a pop. Like my back, my mid back, my upper back's pretty spot on. Like my upper back's quite lean. It's more so just like my mid to lower back that's just very, very soft.
It's just a detail. Like,
yeah.
I'm the opposite. Like when I start to get lean, like start seeing like veins and shit in my back, like pretty early doors. Whereas like I won't on my delts, on my chest or anything. You're the complete opposite. Like my like mid and upper back's like not peeled, but when I'm lean, like that's one of the first places that you're like, oh shit, look at like the separation in all my back. You're the complete other way around. Yeah,
it's literally like I'll have probably 12 veins on my left delt, like 7 on my right. I have veins on my chest. I know the left one's 12. So it's just a case of counting how many. And but then like it's literally the opposite way around. I've seen a few veins on like my mid to upper back, but like I say mid to upper back, mid back still shit. But yeah, we just need some vaso burn on there, mate. That's what it will be. But no, I think like I said, if it was an even kind of distribution, it would be sound because I'd be like, right, well, I just know that I have more to come off. But it's almost that case of I'm like just trying to play ball and see what I can get away with, because at the end of the day in physique it's not a sense of just being mind-blowingly skinny and shredded. You want to be full. You want to be in really good condition. Like at the end of the day, I'm not stepping on stage soft. I will be, I'll like quote it, I will be pretty much like fat-free. I will be fat-free. It's not where I'm going to be stepping on stage if I wasn't. But there is that degree where if I was to push too far, like my fullness right now in my delts, my chest is all good. I'm happy with that. But I don't want to push too hard, get my back in ready early, and then be like, right, now I'm playing not catch up. My front just looks a bit skinny, which is easily done.
It depends. If you're early enough, then you'll fill up into it and you'll be sound. But if you're doing that in the last week, trying to get your back in the still, like, you'll struggle to fill up. But you'll be sound, mate. Just don't stress. That's the worst thing to do.
Yeah, it is easier said than done not to stress. But at the end of the day, like I'm more so looking at it and I'm thinking, well, it's funny because I know obviously there's not too much relevance to take from this, but like I was thinking, I got to the state of condition I was in Cuba, and that was in 8 weeks, and I was honestly like ridiculously fat in comparison to now. Like I could get to that condition in 3 weeks if I was to be like, right, foot on the gas, let's go. So like I said, yeah, exactly. So everything seems good. It's almost just that halting. I'd almost rather, if I'm honest, and this sounds quite peculiar, but I'd almost rather be like quite far behind, so I don't even have time to be even weighing up the pros and cons, and I'd just be thinking, right, I need to diet. I need to get rid of this fat. Like that's almost
what you mean. I think it's a good, like, I almost think if that was the most optimal way, that'd be good, to just be like really aggressive and just attack it and be like,
Yeah.
only goal is dieting, really.
Yeah.
But it's just not the best way to do it, even though like psychologically it probably is, because you can just solely focus on being aggressive and getting it done.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. So more so the mental kind of, I'm not going to say that like the last week is, because it hasn't been like, it's funny. Like,
Can't hack it, can you?
Just can't hack it, no.
Can't hack it mentally. I'm going to pull out of prep. Reece pulls out of prep. That's the title of this one.
Imagine Reece pulls out of prep, announces it live on air. I just can't do it anymore, guys.
Proper breakdown.
But no, everything seems good. It'll be funny. What I'll do is I'll do what some people do, where they, and they're not going to be ready, and then they just bottle it 3 weeks before. They'll be like, like a month, 2 months before, a month before the show, a week before the show, that I can't compete. There was a lad that I used to train
really bad
with,
injury.
yeah, who did something like that, and it was where, like, I said to him when he started, he was doing it for his sponsor, and he was like, I don't really want to, and I said, you won't stick it through then, and he was like, no, I will, and he did like 8 weeks, he got like 12 weeks out, and then he was like, oh, I'm not doing it, and I was like, there we go. Like, literally, you got to a point where things started to get more challenging, and you just didn't want to do it. Like, just admit you didn't want to do it. And he was like, no. It just, it was this, getting in the way of my life. I said, just say you didn't want to do it. Like, it's fine. Yeah. Not everyone wants to. But yeah, like I said, everything seems to be moving forward in the right directions. I can't really ask for much more where I'm at currently. And everything's good. Have you finished your meal? Do you want to give an update on yourself, or do you want me to carry on for a bit?
Very close, mate. Just say a few more words and then I'll be done.
Okay, fair enough. Few more words. Like I said, if I was thinking over my last week, haven't really done anything other than the podcast with Pearson. So that's pretty much it. That's it for me. I've got absolutely nothing. Please, Finn, take the mic.
I'm ready. I'm in.
You're in. Go for it. Right, shoot. How's your last week been, mate?
Yeah, it's been good, man. Not much to report. I think I'm questioning my leg frequency a little bit, because my second leg session every week, which is the one at Ultraflex only after 2 rest days, is just, the past like 2-3 weeks, it's just been absolutely battering me, and I don't really feel like it's been that productive. Like, it's almost just been one of those sessions, like, it was all right, and like all my other sessions at the minute are really, really good. So I'm questioning that. I'm going to run with it still tomorrow and see how it goes. Oh, well, Thursday, sorry, see how it goes. But that's the only thing that I'm really questioning. That's a bit of a it's not an issue, but just something to be thinking about in regards to training. Otherwise, things are all good. Outside of that, not much to report. I'm just getting really good at bowling, and that's about it. I ain't got much exciting to be fair. Like, I feel like, obviously, a prep, I guess it's, there's more to talk about. But it's still just dieting. I know all I'm doing is just gaining. Yeah. Like, it's not
people are just more interested. Like, you're just like, oh, I ate more food this week.
I know. I could go on to like all my food and everything, but I just don't think it's not as necessary, because obviously when you're prepping, there are more things. Every minor change makes a difference. Whereas, like, for example, like if I was like, oh, I've increased my carbs by 25, people aren't gonna be like, oh, like, whereas for you,
wait, 100 extra calories. Wow.
No, like, it doesn't matter. So. But yeah, to be fair, I'm feeling pretty good. Like, the past to be fair, obviously my body weight's been gaining like really, really gradually. But I'd say
your face hasn't been gaining gradually though. Your face is fat as anything.
It's not. I don't know what you're on about. Guys,
people who are watching on the YouTube, Finn, move your head away from the mic just for a split second, just so we can see your face. I want to compare. Finn was saying yesterday that his face isn't that fat. No, stop sucking your cheeks.
It's really not that fat. It's not that fat. It's not that excessively fat.
Yeah, but it's getting. I think it's getting to the stage, mate. 210 will be hilarious when you get there in a year. Like, that'll be it. No diets in a year, you'll be spot on.
But gaining at the rate I'm gaining at, I can't imagine it'd be that bad. 210, 220 would be a joke. Like, I'd just be a fat mess.
Do you reckon? Do you reckon? If you got to like 214, do you reckon you'd be thinking? Let's see.
Probably.
Yeah. Because, mate, I got to 247 And I was literally like, I was thinking, do I just delay prep for a week and just hit 250? I was so tense. I was like, no.
Like, the only thing is, you're just getting fatter. Like, it's literally no benefit other than a number that you see on a scale. So,
Oh yeah,
I think I'd mentally be able to sort of restrain myself from doing it because it just wouldn't be beneficial. But yeah, I feel like last couple of weeks I've looked a little bit better. I feel like it's very similar to like dieting. It's almost like you establish a weight and then you get better at that weight and then you might drop again and then you get better at that weight and then you drop again. Same when you're gaining, like if even more so, because the longer you spend there, like the better that you look, especially if your training's still progressing. Like on the food I'm on and that, I don't need to be aggressively like pushing body weight up. So I'm happy to just sort of hold and gradually push up, like literally gaining really slowly. And just trying to, when I feel like I can get away with a bit more food, I'll just add it in. And if it gradually pushes my body weight up, then great. And then I'll hold again for a bit and then push up and hold. Like that's just how I'm going to do it. Otherwise, I'll just push on aggressively and then I'll need to diet and I'll just do that sort of endlessly, which I'd rather spend more time gaining or holding than dieting. I just don't think. I think that I'm not going to say the days are gone of doing a bulk and a mini cut and a bulk and a mini cut because they're not. But
no.
I do think that in the position I'm in, it doesn't make sense to be like, I need to see the scales going up because I don't. Like my training is going to be no better really if I'm, eating a bit more food and 205 pounds than eating a tiny bit less than 202 pounds. Like it's not going to be like crazy different or anything like that. I'm in that spot now where I'm happy to hold or gain really, really slowly.
Yeah. No, I think that's a mature outlook. I feel like a lot of people chase not only a scale, but like they chase kind of that psychological pressure of like, oh, I need to be heavier than this. I need to get to this weight. And in reality, when you're starting out training, there's definitely merit. Even when you're not starting out training, there's merit. But for the vast majority of individuals, earning the right to have body weight at a set point, that's almost what you want to be focusing upon. And like you mentioned, there's going to be zero benefit for you to be 5 pounds heavier, other than that's 5 pounds sooner that you'd have to diet, because that just kind of cuts off the runway for where you're at this current phase. So it makes sense, mate, if I'm honest. Like, again, like if it's just a couple of pounds here or there, like training's in a good spot until you notice some negative feedback, which in reality you're not. Like you're not going to all of a sudden wake up one week and be going, oh my God, I need to push up an extra 3 pounds, Like there's
it's one of them though. Like even now, the food I'm on and how my training's going, like although it doesn't really look like, obviously because I like post my weight on the story and that, doesn't really look as though my body weight is going up. But obviously I track it every day, like in my sheets, and I'm still gradually creeping up. I'm gaining at like 0.25 to 0.5 pounds a week. So like that's not that slow. Like if you think about it, that's like 1 to 2 pounds a month. That's quite fast.
The problem is you don't see it because there's those inconsistencies and outliers.
Yeah, which
and
is
like
normal,
the second you get to a certain body weight, how many times have you had with a client, you'll see their body weight and you'll be thinking they haven't gained weight in the last 3 months. You actually check, they're like 2 and a bit kilos or like 5 pounds up, and you're like, oh, it's because it's such a marginal. When
I
you
very rarely look at
it's never a linear
data.
scale. Yeah,
I just look at the average, and like clients will say all the time, won't they? Like, oh, this happened on weight, this happened, and I'm like, yeah, but look at the average number. That's all that really matters. Like, the only time I'll not really take that average into as sort of strong a consideration is if there's a reason why the average has changed, but then the past like 5 or 6 days, it's like it's stalled or whatever. Let's say like Sonny, for example, today. Last week, like, mate, he dropped like 3 pounds, and obviously, like, during the prep's pretty aggressive. Like, he's not that far out, but we can still, like, I'm happy for it, getting away with it. It's all good. But he's actually been the same weight for the past 5 days. So even though his body weight across last week was 3 pounds down, his actual body weight over the past 5 days was like pretty much the exact same. So we still made a change, even though usually, like, especially if he wasn't prepping, I wouldn't have made a change.
They hold off weight.
3 pounds down. We don't need to make any changes. But because it's like when he's prepping and we've still got a good amount to peel off, we want to keep that sort of ball rolling. Just make slight changes, but only because of the fact that it's stalled over the past 4 or 5 days. But yeah, like when you're gaining, I think like I guarantee if I was to look back on my Google Sheets at my weigh-ins, I bet like 6 weeks to 8 weeks ago, I probably had a 200 pound weigh-in. Or maybe not, maybe about 6 weeks ago. And like today I weighed in at 200 pounds, 200.75. But I'm still
6 weeks, no progress.
Yeah, but I've not grown at all. I've not progressed any lift. But like across the averages, I'm still very gradually creeping up. Like you say, like most mornings now, I'm like 201 or 202. Rarely I'll be 200. I haven't seen a 203 yet. Can't wait. Going to be massive when I get to 203.
Yeah, literally every pound now is going to be a game changer. But no, that's fair enough, mate. Give an update. Give an update on Sonny and Slayer. Something that. So
Okay.
if you want to, I don't think you've actually outlined it. Basically, Finn has 2 clients who are competing. Slater is a week and a half out.
Yeah.
Wow, crazy. And then Sonny is 7.5.
6.5.
6.5. Yeah, go for it. Give a quick update on him because I think a few listeners would like to.
I was thinking about getting Slater on. Because he's quite. I was thinking about getting Slater on at some point. I just don't know when we'd do it because he's very busy as well, mate. Like, but that'd be good.
So busy. Got so many check-ins.
He is busy, mate. He's too busy posing. That's all he fucking does now. Just pose like all the time. It would be good to get him on at some point. I might chat with him about it. But yeah, Slater's 1.5 weeks out, so he competes next Sunday. His first show is the BNBF Midlands, and then he's competing the week after at the UK DFBA Northern. So yeah, first show's in Birmingham, second show's in Manchester. He's looking pretty good, to be fair. We've still got a little bit to come off, like his glutes, his hamstrings, a little bit off the midsection. But like I was saying to you earlier, like he wouldn't look out of place at all if he competed now. Like he's ready, but there's more to come off. You know what I mean? Like because he's a first time competitor as well. Like, and obviously he's got a good amount of muscle, but not in some areas. Like his delts, his arms, his chest, even his quads to an extent are all like strong areas that we've been able to get lean pretty easily because they're good areas. But then his glutes, his hamstrings, and even his back taking a little bit longer to get in, partly because that's where he holds more fat, but also because they're weaker areas. So we've already been speaking about like his program for the off season, where we're just going to be like annihilating his back and his hamstrings, which will be good. I'm excited to program for it already. But yeah, he's looking good. The plans are all in place. The goal right now is just to keep digging. He's got cardio in every day. We've like added that in recently. Not a huge amount on his leg days. He's got an hour on his rest days. I'd have to get his sheets up to remember exactly what else he's got. But he's got cardio every day. His food's not stupidly low, but it's low enough. Like he's not on a lot of food. But he's still feeling good. He's still energetic. He checks in every morning. He's checked in every morning for like the last month or the last 2.5 weeks. Obviously, it's going to be like the last 4 weeks of prep. But yeah, generally things are looking good. We're just digging for more condition for the next pretty much like, what is it now, 8 or 9 days. And then we're planning on filling up from the Thursday. So it'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, where we're going to fill up, drop expenditure right down. It's unlikely that we'll manipulate electrolytes or even water, to be honest. We might make some adjustments with water, but probably not, just because the more that we do, the more complicated it becomes and the more stress that there is on Slater. And that's the goal of the first time prep, is to minimize that completely. And like, that's why I communicate with him a lot. Like any questions he has, I'm like, just talk to me, because if he's stressing about this or that, or worrying about what he's supposed to do with his tan or his hair removal or what shower gel can he use and this and that, like, you know, it just creates unnecessary stress. So all of that's covered, outlined. We've got the plan in place. We don't know exactly what we're going to, or the exact amount we're going to refeed on, but we did or fill up on, I should say. But we did a refeed last weekend, gave us a bit of data. He was up by a couple of pounds after that. So probably going to do something similar, but maybe over an extra day. But all it's like at this stage, it's literally just playing it day by day, which is, I love it. Like every morning now, it's like I get up, I do my routine. My first thing that I do when I do work is get around to Slater's little mini feedback. And it is cool, like, because it's like different changes every day. I've got a video of him every day, a little update, go through his sheets, make any adjustments we need to make. So it's in like quite an exciting time right now. But yeah, he'll be good. He will be very good, mate. He'll be very good as a novice. It's just a case of bringing up those weaker areas in the off season. There's nothing we can do now. Like I said that to him, you know, the weaker areas now, they're still going to be weaker areas when you compete, whether we get them leaner or not. They're still going to be weaker areas. It's just a case of really focusing on bringing those up when we come to pushing back up, which he's happy to do. Like he's already sort of looking forward to that. I was like that. You know, like you'll probably be the same. Like a week or two out, like the closer you get, the more you're excited to push back up, Because it's
Oh
like,
mate, I'm already thinking about that.
yeah,
I think about that like the second I go into a diet, I'm like, oh, like I need more muscle here. The annoying thing is, and I think I said this to Big Jermaine. Jermaine was asking about body parts, and I was like, honestly, I said for physique, I was like biceps, maybe. I was like, I could do quads. Quads
what
need
that you
work.
need to bring up.
Yeah, like I was
Rear
almost
delts.
like my rear delts are sound. My rear delts. That was a running joke. That was a pretty poor joke. But no, my rears are
Not a
sound.
joke,
I
mate.
think,
Everyone's just being honest with you.
yeah, just got told by 3 people in about 6 months you need more rear delt. It's like, oh, cheers, mate. Thanks. Such a hard body part to bring up that. But no, but yeah, quads and biceps is my thought process for myself. But quads, I don't even need that for physique. But it's more so, I'd like better quads. So yeah, my adductors are solid, which makes my legs look less shit. My hamstrings are decent. My quads are pretty average. My biceps are okay, but I think they could be better. Triceps are decent, and everything else is all right. So yeah, that's pretty much the plan of action. But no, whenever I go into a diet, I always think, oh, the second my food's up, what can I prioritize on? I think that's quite normal. Like I'm 8 weeks and I'm thinking, yeah, well, I wonder what I can get away with. I wonder what I can do instead.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
No,
then
I think
go for
like
it, mate.
for the
What about,
most part,
carry on.
of a diet, you're not like when it gets to the challenging end, you start to think like that. But think like probably
Yeah.
for the first I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 weeks of your diet, like as the prep, like you probably weren't thinking about pushing back up. You were thinking about like enjoying the prep.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely. Yeah.
then you get further on it and you're still enjoying it, but you're sort of thinking about afterwards already, like, oh, what can I do? Like, what food
Yeah.
can I have in that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The client says to me, mate, I can't get my carbs in. I'm like, please get your carbs in. I'll eat them for you if not.
Yeah, you
Like
have to
someone's
tell
going to
them
eat
like
them.
easy carbs to have, and you're like,
Yeah,
wish I
fuck.
was having
No,
that.
yeah, no, it's not that bad yet. It's not that bad yet, which is good. But no, when it comes to Sonny, quick update, mate. How's he doing?
Sonny sound 6.5 weeks out. It's a bit of more of a difficult one with Sonny because it's a longer period that the shows are going to be across. So we're almost like we're going to be in a good spot for the first show, but I think he'll be better later on in the season. Simply because, mate, like if we do all the shows that we're projected, he's not going to be done until like November time. So it's ages yet. Whereas Slater's happy to just do these 2 qualifiers and then he's done. Because he's going into he's doing an MBA with his work and at Loughborough Uni.
Going to the NBA.
He's going to the NBA. Yeah, he's turned into. To be fair, he'd probably do all right in basketball because he's that tall. But yeah, Slater's not. Although I do think if Slater was to like win both of his shows as a novice, I've said to him like, would you not want to do the finals? And he's like, I don't know. Like, so we'll see what happens there. But either way, Sonny's got more shows planned, so we're having to be a bit more sort of tentative with that. We can't just be like, right, we're focusing on 2 weekends. We've got like a longer period, so we'll have to have a bit of a recovery period, depending on if he qualifies in the first show. Then, depending on how he looks, we'll probably just be able to push on until the next show, which is only a month after. If he doesn't qualify, then it's 7 weeks. So we'll likely do like a recovery period for 1 to 2 weeks where we're back up at maintenance, maybe gain a little bit of weight and then push on again. But where he's at now is good. He's dropping at a good rate. He's on a lot of food still. Cardio is not too bad. He's on a lot of steps, but that's just because of his work. But yeah, his posing's improving massively. That's the main focus really at the minute. Like, because he's coming in nicely. He's on track to be in a good spot. He just needs to keep practicing his posing because he's not like, I wouldn't say it doesn't come naturally to him, but it's more so the confidence thing. Like you can tell like he's not that confident yet in hitting the poses, but he's getting a lot better and his transitions are getting better. Just got him posing like all the time. But yeah, he's
his posing as bad as my right side?
He hasn't got a bad side, you know.
That's mental.
I know.
So
both of his sides pretty much as good.
My left side is sound. My right side's awful. I have no flexibility in my right side, so I can't twist. It's annoying.
I don't know. I think one side he does get into more naturally, but they're both pretty good. His posing is getting a lot better. But that's good. There's obviously it's a little bit further out for Sonny, so there's not as much to discuss. But the main sort of focus, like I say now, is making sure that he doesn't like just fucking die out. We don't want it to be like pushing him so hard into this show and then he's got to try and maintain show condition or stage condition for however long. Like it's not really going to be ideal. So yeah, he's in a good spot. And it's just a case of just trying to keep, again, like with Sonny, just trying to keep his stress low. He's asked me a few times, like, people are saying that I'm on too much food. And I'm like, mate, your situation is completely different to anyone else's. Like, they probably don't do 20,000 steps a day at work. They don't train as hard as you. Like, Sonny trains fucking hard. Like, he does. He puts a lot into his sessions. His sessions are like 3-4 hours, like our sessions. Like, he puts a lot into his training. So you can get away with being on over 3,000 calories when you diet, like when your expenditure is that high and when you train as hard as he does. Obviously, you know, there's room to pull it down, and we will be pulling it down as we go. But I think, you know, he didn't expect it, but a lot of people that he maybe talks to, or a lot of people do sort of just think as soon as you start a prep,
you're fucked. Yeah, you're doing like
your cardio every day. It's like, no, that's the last. It's the worst thing.
I said this before to you about like the guy that I trained with. First prep, his coach was like, right, take all this stuff, do a 45-minute fasted run in the morning, like eating no carbs, like literally like his non-training days were like probably trace carbs. Like it was literally just veg and protein and like maybe like 20 fat.
The bad thing is that gets people in shape, so that's why people think it works. But like, you could be so much better by not doing that.
Definitely.
Anybody can get peeled doing that. Like, but you probably be skinny and look like shit as well. And then you're competing like, oh, at least I was peeled. It's like, yeah, but you've got no muscle, or even if you have got a lot of muscle, you could have been loads better by doing it properly. But it's because it works, so don't change it. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't really. Like, there's a lot of, it's like there's, you know, more than one way to do it, and that way you can get lean, but it's definitely not the most optimal way of doing it.
Agreed. Right, so we'll go into the questions. I got asked a fair few. Did you get many?
I don't know, mate. I've not had a chance to have a look.
You know what I did get asked, mate? We got asked by about 5 people. What did you think of James Smith's PT post about bodybuilding? If I'm honest, I haven't read it. Like, I literally scrolled through. I saw it, everyone's replied, and then I read through the comments, and I saw Thorburn say he's got a pigeon chest, which was class.
Literally, like, I didn't actually read the really
post. I promise you, I just skimmed through it and thought, oh, well, if I'm not mistaken, and I should have read it, but isn't it just him saying that, like, it's driven off insecurities and stuff like that? That's what I read, and then that was
basically he's just not a fan of bodybuilding. That's all he's saying. But but how he puts it across is maybe a bit
like, if you
generalize. He's generalizing it a lot, and it's a bit sort of like, it doesn't really. It relates to probably how a lot of people see bodybuilding, and a lot of people that do compete maybe are in that kind of boat. But you can't generalize it completely. And I also think that. I get why people are pissed off, because he's got such a massive following. And let's say, like, a lot of people who are maybe getting into bodybuilding or quite like liking training and maybe thinking of it might read that and go, oh yeah, I don't like it either, which I don't like, because he's like influencing people who are easily influenced. But I think for like people who aren't easily influenced, make your own mind up. Like, you don't need everybody's resharing it to the story. This is exactly what he wants.
Oh,
like,
yeah, mate.
He's not an idiot.
He goes off like just
exactly. He puts
like,
up controversial content so that he gets shares and comments, and loads of people are talking about it, like we are now. So we shouldn't. But I just think, like, have your own opinion. Like, anybody can put anything on social media. You don't have to get fucking upset about it. Like, he's not targeting at you. And even if he's against bodybuilding, and people can slate whatever they like. Like, don't let it. I don't know why everybody's getting so upset. He's got an opinion, fair play. Like, yeah, whatever. Like, that is literally all I think. But the only thing I don't like is that people who are easily influenced, if they tag on to that and be like, oh yeah, same, I don't like that, because it's maybe pulling people away from bodybuilding, which is a sort of a way of life that can really help a lot of people. You know what I mean? So I don't like that. But I do just think, still, even so, you need to make your own mind up. You shouldn't be that easily influenced on anything.
Good answer. Right, move on. You got questions? Do you want to go?
Yeah, man. Charlie Everell. Thanks for the question, Charlie. Hope you're good, mate. How to deal with clients that are checking in late / not adhering, etc.
Ooh. So firstly, as Finn said, Charlie, hope you're all good, mate. Appreciate all the comments. Haven't actually seen a comment of him now for about a month. So where are you at? I didn't know. Hopefully everything's going well. But it's a challenging one. And this is something that I'm not going to, like, guess your clientele, but just based off where you are relative to like where I was. When you start out coaching, when you're in the first like year or so, me and Finn have had plenty of clients who are those kind of typical check-in late. There's not too much respect. It's from their line to you, unfortunately, and it's almost some people that you work with even now. And me and Finn will have people that sign up, seem really sound, they seem up for it, everything's spot on, and then they check in late, and it's almost where I try and remind them what they're doing. I'm quite honest. It's something that I've built up a skill towards, because you don't, when you're starting out coaching, I'm not saying he is starting out coaching, I'm not actually too sure. I know he's coached now for a decent amount of time, but you can almost sometimes undervalue and like not have too much confidence within yourself and within your service. And that's quite normal when you're starting out. Where if I was to have a client now, I'd almost say, right, I say to them, I'm very, very strict when they start up, and I say like, this is pretty much the only non-negotiable throughout the whole coaching process. I'm not obviously just a bell end and say, if you check in late, you're not going to get your check in. It's more so just give me a heads up, but this you need to maintain, so the service I can provide for the rest of my clients stays consistent, and it's not where I'm just kind of downgrading other areas so I can fit your check-in in. I compare it in such as like 3 people getting up to go to work at 9 a.m. but being told, you can't work till 2 p.m. You'd be sat around going, well, what do I do? You know, that's almost what you have to think about. So I'd remind them, I'd kind of give them from the get-go what you expect from them. And then there should be that level of respect. If you're getting back to their WhatsApp messages, if you're giving them their form feedback, if you're adherent with their like check-in process and protocols, they should therefore have some level of respect towards you. And if not, then that's their loss, and they're the clients you don't really want to work with. So it might be a shame short-term to be like, I've lost a client or whatever, but I'd much rather tell someone honestly, this isn't going to work, than for me to say yeah and be naive and then end up where I'm stressing myself out because a guy's not checking in on time.
Yeah, good answer, mate. I would say on top of that, like in regards to not adhering, so let's imagine they are checking in, but they're not adhering. I think something that I've learned, you know, just in my experience with coaching people is break it down a little bit. So don't just be like, right, you're not doing this, you're not doing this, you're not doing this, you're not doing this. Because there's a lot. If you're trying to maximize everything that you're doing, there's a hell of a lot, really. Like, if you break it down, it's simple. But if you're going to them, right, your sleep's not good enough, you need to improve your sleep. And you're too stressed, you need to reduce your stress. And you're not hitting your protein, and your carbs are way too high, and your fats are way too high, and you're not getting your steps done, and your cardio is not done. Like, if you're doing all that, it's like, shit, there's so much to do. If you say to them, right, let's just focus on one thing for next week. I've had a client who I literally said to him, I want you to hit 200 protein every day. I don't care what else you do.
Yeah,
literally, if you don't sleep, if you don't even train, I don't care, because that you haven't done that yet, and that is your protein target. So I want you to focus on that, because I say I don't care if you don't train, but usually his training is absolutely sound. Yeah, so we don't have to worry about that. His sleep routine is not too bad, so we don't really have to worry about that. So break things down and make things a little bit easier for people, because in the past I've just gone through check-ins, like when I was first starting, just going like, right, you need to do this needs to be better, this needs to be better. But obviously people aren't doing it for a reason, because they're either struggling or because they don't see the benefit of it. Try and teach people the benefit of it as well. And what you'll notice as well, as soon as these types of clients have a good week, they'll be like, oh shit, mate, this week's been so good, I don't even know why. And then you look at their data and they've hit their food targets pretty consistently. They've been getting 8 hours sleep every night. They've said that their stress is low. They've maybe had a week off work, and they're like, I don't know why this week's been so good. And it's like, because you're doing what I've been telling you to do over the past however many weeks. So try and show them that benefit of actually adhering and the results that they can get, and educate them on why. Don't just sort of say, do this, do this, do this, without any real backing as to why they should do that and the benefit that they can get from that. But like Reece said, you're going to have some people, and one thing I learned when I was personal training is you can't help everyone. Like, you're going to have some people who aren't willing to put in the work that they need to. You know, everybody's going to have those clients every now and again that want 100% results, but they're going to put in 20% of the work and then question why they're not getting results. And sometimes they're just people that are in the world that we have to accept. Like, and that's, you know, it's a shame, but that's, you know, the reality of where we are. Like, a lot of people don't really understand the work that you maybe need to put in to properly see results. They just think, oh, I've got a coach now, so I should improve. So you always just, some people, you can help them as much as you like, and you can give them everything possible, and you can take it from every different avenue. if they're still not really willing to be coached, then you almost have to accept that. And like Reece said, maybe just say to them, look, you're causing me more stress than it's worth. You're not getting results, which ultimately isn't going to help you or my business. So there's no real point, Yeah, exactly. Like, you can take someone's money all you like, but realistically, it's not going to benefit your business long term, and it's not going to make you feel good as well. Like, if they're not checking in and not talking to you, it's not going to benefit either of the sides of it. So I think, it's one of them where you want your business to grow and you don't want to lose clients, but sometimes you need to lose clients to actually step forward.
Yeah. And prioritize the people that actually check in and make sure they're adherent.
Yeah, you'd rather have like 10 really good clients than like 30 who maybe you've got 5 good ones and 25 who are a bit shit, just because you'd be earning more money. You'd rather have 10 who are doing really well and getting really good results, because it not only looks good for you, but it makes the job like a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than if you have a poor client and like every time they message you, you're thinking, oh God, I hope they've trained this week.
Wrong now?
There's nothing worse. Yeah, and it just drains you, and then that will impact your service elsewhere. So prioritize yourself, have some confidence, kind of speak about the issue, and then address it head on. Like, that's literally what I would go for. Finn got it spot on. Start off on the basics. There are some people that you start off with and you go, oh, I wonder if they're going to be good. Like, this is going to be a bit of a challenge. And then after a month, they're spot on. But that's because you've slowly kind of changed that behavior. And the behavioral change is something that is a skill that you'll develop. So it's almost going through a step-by-step process, and you're not actually going through a step-by-step process, but you technically are. But you're not kind of saying, right, week 1 we're doing this, week 2 we're doing this, but you can slowly transition an individual to be in an optimal position. That's for sure. And funnily enough, mate, I got 2 questions, and they're not questions. So Ethan Fielding, do you remember the guy who works at Progress? Or he worked at Progress? Yeah. You're looking insane, bro. Next question. J Manchester Fit, are you going to be ready for your comp in time? ? Nervous face. No. And I was a bit like, it's funny that, like, it's funny social media. You're like, oh no, I read it. I was like, oh God. Do you want to know the funny thing about this? This might be a bit of me being childish, but about a year and a half ago, he competes in physique, believe it or not. He's from Leeds. About a year and a half ago, he replied to one of my stories saying like, oh, you might be competition one day, winky face. And I think I'm 20 kilos heavier than him and about 4 years younger. So I think that'd be quite funny. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. But no, appreciate both. To answer, yeah, I'll be confident. Anyway, I thought that was quite funny. We have Zach Feeve. Zach Feeve. I got his surname wrong last time. I think I said Feve, and he said it is Feeve. How much strength, if any, do you think you've lost in your cut so far? So it depends on movements. Like, for example, could I flat bench 180 kilos for 2 again? No, I get crushed. Any movement patterns that have not been in, I'm definitely going to be weaker at. Peak level of pressing strength is definitely lower, just due to stability. So could I do a 3-repper on a barbell press or a low incline press and get the same kind of numbers? No. I think I could probably maintain like a back offset if I was to like hop on a movement that I'm similar at. Like, nothing's come down drastically. My hinges have gone up significantly. My leg movements are really good. My leg training is probably the best it's been from like a numbers perspective ever. My push movements are okay, but they're not like peak levels of strength. They're not worse though, because I've changed the movement pattern slightly. So, for example, I'm like dead stopping or tap and going on the Sterling shoulder press in comparison to like just a regular shoulder press, just to kind of reduce that margin of error. And then I'm using Smith machines, but I'm doing a low incline when I started prep, doing the hammer strength for the Life Fitness incline press. And so there's definitely areas that if I was to hop on machines, I'm weaker because I've not used that machine, but I haven't like lost 20 kilos onto all pressing or 20 kilos onto all pulls. I'm stronger on pulls, I'm stronger on pushes, on lower pushes, peak strength, I'm weaker. New movements or old movements, I would be weaker. But yeah, that's how I think it should be. You were similar, weren't you? Like, there wasn't really anything that you lost strength on drastically. Like, everything was up. Pushes were a bit poor towards the latter end, but nothing like bad. I just remember like you go 1 pin lower on the Cybex Eagle press and you'd be like, right, I'll just take an 8-repper instead of a 6-repper this time.
Yeah, it wasn't anything excessive. I think as well, like that's what I think I spoke about it before. I think if you can set up a prep and or the program of a prep, if you can set it up almost with movements that you know you're going to be able to maintain throughout, is a good idea to actually assess that strength, whether you've maintained it, whether you've regressed, whether you've still been able to progress. I mean, it's one of them where you don't really want to take out like, let's say dumbbell press, whatever it may be, because you're like, well, I don't need to take that out straight away. And that is completely true. But then I also think it's quite a good idea to have a program that you know I'm not really going to have to, unless unforeseen circumstances mean you have to change something. It'd be nice to have a program where you know I'm not going to have to change anything throughout the entire prep, and then you can really assess. I think that's what I'll aim to do next time, so I can really assess my strength changes throughout. Because otherwise you're going, oh well, yeah, I've probably lost strength there, but I did change it at 10 weeks out, and I've progressed it since then, and I did change this, I did change that, and it doesn't make it the most accurate. But it is very difficult to do that because you don't really want to take those movements out right at the start. It's quite a difficult one. But that's something I remember saying, like, I wish I'd have done that in my prep.
Yeah. Right. Your question, mate.
So this is from Tommy Barker, one of my clients, the guy that stepped on that snake, bless him.
I got asked the question as well from him.
Oh,
Tommy Barker _.
Yeah.
Sound. I wonder if it's the same question.
What did he ask you?
When bulking, what's the need for high carbs other than like a pre and post workout meal? He's asked both of us. Tommy, what a guy. He's not only asked his coach, he thought, you know what, I'm going to ask Reece this question as well.
He's proper sound with Tommy. He's a good lad.
Yeah.
They asked me, which muscles did you find hardest to connect with? I'm assuming like obviously when like first started training. I would say
most people struggle with pull to initiate.
Yeah, but I was going to say every muscle when you first ever start.
Yeah.
Because like everything just hurts. Like you'll do any upper body thing, any upper body movement, and you're like, oh, my arms hurt. Because you've got no musculature anywhere else, like, and you just don't know how to connect with it. But yeah, pull is probably the most common for people to struggle with, because obviously you can't see your back, and I'd say it's a little bit more technical on pull in terms of like your body alignment and your elbow path, and not even just your elbow path, like your upper arm path, the path of your humerus, like more so than pressing. You can't, especially on machines, you can't really go wrong with pressing. Whereas with pull movements, like even on machines, you can still go quite wrong. Take the question, mate. I've got a parcel at the door.
Sound. That's all good. Right. So, to carry on with Tommy's kind of question, I agree completely. This is something that I think we spoke about in the podcast before, but when I first started training, like if I was in GCSE exams and I finished early, I'd like drag my elbow along the table in front of me, and I'd like try and experiment with different kind of like positions and be like, oh, I feel my lat here, or I feel like a bit more my upper back working. And it sounds really excessive, but just having that kind of understanding of trying to go through different movement patterns and seeing what feels better. I was always like, and this was before it was kind of common practice, but if you were to hop on like a regular lat pull down with like a double overhand grip and like wider than a shoulder width kind of grip, I never felt my lats. And I was always like, why is this called a lat pull down? And then when you actually understand the mechanisms of the lat, like you want your elbow and your upper arm kind of out in front of you, and you want to be dragging it down in comparison to having that flared approach, it kind of makes sense, and you're more so taxing a bit more like upper back to potential mid-back musculature. So I think pulls are what a lot of people struggle with. But at the same time, as Finn mentioned, like something like the medial delts, I connect insanely well with my medial delts. But when I first started training, if I was to do a dumbbell lateral raise, I don't think I felt a dumbbell lateral raise till I was probably 19, maybe 5 years into training. And it was where I think I worked up to like the 14s or 16s, and I was like, God, my delts are still shit. And I remember, I think I went down to like the 6s, and I was like sat on the bench and I was holding on the top for like 3 seconds. I was going for like a 5-second eccentric. I was really trying to focus on pulling with my elbow instead of just my hand. I was driving with my pinky finger, and it was like, right, I actually feel my medial delts now. So there's always been times, like even now, like my left lat, I don't connect as well with, and as comparison to my right. I still connect well with it. Finn, you have a bit of an issue, don't you? If you're like opposite sides of your back trying to connect well. And it's normal, if I'm honest. Like there's certain body parts that you'll just connect really well with. There's some that you just won't. The longer and the better you are from like a training standpoint, the better and the easier you're going to be, more efficient at switching those muscle groups on. So yeah, we'll go into his question that he asked me. So double whammy. This is literally, Tommy, all you need to do is skip to this part of the podcast. Yeah, skip to this part of the podcast, listen, and then just click off. Be right, question's done. Sound. See you later. Right, so when bulking, what's the need for high carbs other than the pre and post workout meals?
Well, to be honest, like, try and prioritize the majority of them around pre and post, but you're going to get to a point where you can't really just push them any higher. So if you're, let's say, like we push Tommy's carbs quite high, but let's imagine you're on like 600 or more carbs. Like realistically, you're not going to want to have 300 pre and 300 post, let's say, or 200 pre, 200 post, and 100 intro, whatever it may be. Like, because not only will that be a bit of an issue sort of from a digestion standpoint, but also you're probably going to feel a little bit shit throughout the rest of the day in regards to energy levels, and you're going to be spiking your blood sugar levels massively just around those meals. And that's beneficial when you're dieting, when it comes to a diet phase and you're trying to absolutely maximize your training performance, is to utilize all of your carbs around training, or most of them around training. But when you're bulking, when you're trying to grow and you need more food, you're going to have to spread them out across the day, because nobody really in the right mind wants to be eating 300, 400 carbs before they train, and likewise 300, 400 carbs shortly after they train. I think, there's only to an extent as well, there's only going to be a certain point where we can sort of store enough glycogen to actually benefit from it. So just continuing to eat more and more and more, you're only actually going to feel probably worse for it. So spreading it out a little bit more throughout the day can be beneficial from that standpoint as well. But I don't think like there's any real sort of benefit to necessarily keeping them low outside of those meals. Like, it's just a case of the more food you're on, the more that you're gonna have to spread them out. It's not like, oh well, I'm on 1,000 carbs, I can't have any throughout the rest of the day because I'm maximizing training. It's just more that the more you get on, let's say the more they're going to be spread out. I think a good way to think of it is the leaner, the less food you're on, the less carbs you're on, the greater percentage is going to be around your training window.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, completely, mate. Yeah, I think it really depends. Like, some people get on better with higher fats. Protein's usually going to be a fairly similar position, but in turn, I think there's going to be benefits. Like, especially if in a dieting phase, it's obviously going to be dependent. But gaining phases, as you mentioned, there's going to get to a point where you're going to have carbohydrates high in a meal 1 or meal 5, whatever it's going to be. So, yeah, I agree.
Every meal is going to end up having a good amount in. Like, you're just going to need exactly that amount of energy and that amount of calories to grow.
Yeah. And like Finn mentioned, nobody wants to be having 400 grams of carbs pre, 400 grams of carbs post. So 600 grams of Frosties pre, and then
yourself 4 times during your session.
8 bagels with like 50 grams of jam in each. Imagine. Shocking. So yeah, right. Do you want to go for your question, mate? You know what I will say, guys, people listen, I'm waiting for a car delivery. I'm getting a rental car. It still hasn't come. It's between 3 and 4. Hasn't come. So
when do you need to go?
Whenever the car comes. Like, it's not come yet. Okay. 10 minutes late.
This is from Mr. Personal Trainer. What is your upper limit for cardio and steps that you would prescribe for a client or yourself? Thank you. No, thank you.
No. Yeah, if they say thank you, you have to say thank you. Thanks for the question, Mr. Personal Trainer. Completely depends on the goal, where they're at.
It does, but I still do think there would be a level.
There isn't. Yeah, I personally think, like, let's say steps. Let's break it down. We'll agree upon. I reckon steps. We both say 15,000 is a maximum that we'd probably set.
I'd say 15 to 20. 20, yeah. Like for people who have got busy jobs.
Yeah, I agree. I've had clients on 20,000 steps, but that's because they're doing 17,000 steps every day on work. And that's literally just 3,000 steps of a walk, that added on top. But if they're got a regular sedentary, like, office job, I wouldn't really go above 15,000. I wouldn't be expecting them to do any more than that. And that would probably be on a non-training day. Training days, I mean, same kind of goals could be set, but I'd argue maybe a little bit lower. I like a 12.5 and then 15,000, probably max. If it's above due to work and stuff, then so be it. Cardio. I like the idea. I know you have a few people, like you said, Slater on every day. I think that could be relevant. I'd quite like to imagine on lower sessions, especially from like a performance kind of maintenance like threshold, you'd want like probably to keep cardio away from the lower session, ideally, if possible. So I
agree. Like literally, this is a week and a half out that we've added that in just to push a little bit harder. But so I wouldn't. I'd say we've not had it in the whole time through, and I wouldn't really want to.
Yeah, I'd say 5 to 6 times a week cardio would be from frequency perspective. I also think as well we have to take into consideration what kind of cardio. Is he on the bike? Is it a Stairmaster? What's the duration? Like, duration wise, rest day, an hour tops. I mean, it could be more, it could be split up. I wouldn't ever set a client more than an hour in a consistent position. So I wouldn't be like, right, do 75 minutes of cardio. I'd probably be saying, right, split it up, like do 45 and then 30 or 40, whatever, you know what I mean? Like the outcome of what you want. But even then I'd say that's excessive. Personally, I don't think I've ever set above 50 minutes, if I'm honest. I don't think I've set an hour before. So 45 to an hour, I'd say for duration. And that's dependent on the actual piece of cardio equipment, and then likewise relative like heart rate to calories burnt. So
like you say, it's so dependent. Like if you're thinking about someone who's like, imagine a client comes to you at 4 weeks out and says, and they're miles off and they're like, mate, I want to compete. And you're like, you'd probably try and turn them away from it first. But if they're like, no, I really want your help and I really want to compete, then like these might go out the window because you have to be extreme. So I think it's very hard, like you say, to say, but as a proper like
an coaching rule book,
depends on the goal. And for some people, you might have them on 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, 20,000 steps, depending on their job. Like that's very rare, and you wouldn't really want that to happen, but it might be a situation where that happens. I think a good answer to this is whatever is needed. Like there isn't really a point where, obviously there is, you wouldn't want to do 24 hours a day, etc. But there isn't really going to be that much of an upper limit because it's just going to depend on the scenario and how much they actually need. So yeah, it's quite hard to say, but like we said, those kind of base variables for most people are going to be 15 to 20,000 steps probably, and maybe an hour of cardio a day or 5 or 6 times a week as a kind of maximum for a normal scenario. But even then, that's high.
Yeah, I agree. And then you also have to understand intake. Like we're not even talking about intake. Like if we got asked what's the lowest amount of food that you could go on, again, that's a completely different like rabbit hole that we could literally delve into. But in reality, as Finn said, like pretty much as much or as little as needed. Ideally, you'd have as little as needed. That's what the thought process should be. It's not probably as much, it's as little. Literally get the response you want with the least amount of work getting done. Spot on. That's what we want. Right. Next one. We've got Stan Warner. Biggest mental barrier with training. Good question. I like this.
That is a good question. I would say, and this doesn't really relate that much to myself, but I think this is what maybe relates to a lot of people, is putting too much pressure on it. People almost forget to actually enjoy it, and they almost forget that if they enjoy it more, they're probably going to get better results. So people will go in and look at their logbook numbers, let's say, and they put that much pressure on themselves that they're anxious all morning about it, and then they actually can't manage that anxiety and they can't channel it. If you can channel that, and if you enjoy that part of training, which I know a lot of people do, then it's great. Yeah, like I enjoy, putting pressure on myself to go in and have to get it done, and I like that. But I know a lot of people actually almost like crumble under that pressure. So I would say the greatest barrier for a lot of people is probably, especially at the level like that I'm thinking about, where you're trying to maximize what you're doing and train at a high level, is that people just put way too much pressure on it. And often that leads to poorer performance. A lot of the time, you probably just need to compose yourself a lot going into your sets, breathe, take your time, calm yourself down to actually be able to perform a lot better. More often than not, people go in like overly aroused with too much pressure, and then they'll lose out on a set, and then they hate training. Oh, that's a shit session. Like, and they beat themselves up for the rest of the day, and they can't really sort of compartmentalize the difference between being in and out of the gym and having good and bad sessions. Just everything is good or bad, whether it's in and out of the gym. And I think that comes a lot down to too much pressure on yourself. Obviously, we put pressure on ourselves because a lot of it, even alongside our job, like, there is pressure on it for us, for competing, for getting clients, for making good progress. But that pressure is only there on ourselves, and we wouldn't put that pressure on ours if we didn't enjoy it. And also, we wouldn't be in this job or in this industry if we didn't enjoy it. But I think a lot of people kind of maybe don't enjoy it, but they do it because it's maybe the in thing to be anxious for a set or whatever it may be, but they actually don't benefit from it. So I would say that, but that's not necessarily me, but more so what I've seen and with clients.
Can I just be honest and say, I think you're probably overthinking that, and I just think a lot of people do. Don't be a pussy and enjoy the hard stuff. That's literally what I'd say. Like, it's a mental barrier. Mate, could you take a hack squat to failure in the first couple of years? No.
I'm thinking that's what I just said, though. I'm thinking at like a higher level.
I think how can you get to a higher level if you haven't even got past the basics?
No, but I'm thinking of it on a higher level.
Pardon?
I'm just thinking of it on a higher level.
No, I think for the vast majority of people either listening, or for the people that, like, if you go off the biggest mental barrier, which was the question, it's literally just not
Well,
to be a
then
pussy.
you could
Just
go
make
even
sure
easier and go, make sure you get to the gym.
No, I don't
Make
think
sure
so,
you get
mate.
out of bed in the morning, because people
Nah,
struggle with
that's going a bit too, like, you went here, I went here, and then you just kind of delve into like
It
the
depends
absolute
what level you
basics. Like,
think of it at.
make
It's like
sure
anything.
you wake up and you brush your teeth, and then you have a liter of water. Like,
But that's
fucking
not
hell.
really to do with training.
No, okay. Make sure you have your pre-workout meal. That's what it is.
I
Yeah,
think there's
no, to
levels
be
to
fair,
it.
yeah, you could break this down. There's plenty of mental barriers. I just think a lot of people need to break the actual basics down of what weight training is. It's a weight, it's a resistance against a force. That's all it is. Like, no need to real overthink. Just get after it. Pretty much.
I don't see that
Simple.
as a barrier, though.
You
You know what I
but
mean?
then
I do, because obviously we
yeah,
have, like, we see loads of clients and it's like you've got more in you. So it is, but I don't think it's necessary that people aren't getting after it. It's almost that they don't know the level that they can train at.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
yeah. But I know that is, for most people, for the vast majority, that is true. But I think for people who are trying to train at a higher level, which I assume most people who listen to this are, I would generally say that a lot of the time people maybe put too much pressure on themselves.
yeah. No, fair enough. Right, your question, mate.
Was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Any books, courses, podcasts you would recommend to improve bodybuilding / coaching?
Oh, grand selection of books. Let me just go out and get
Can't
my
read you, can
Arnold Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. I'll just get that out and quote page 64 and saying that you need to. What did Arnold say? The pump is like coming. Fantastic line that. Yeah, that's what I say to all my clients, and they're like, "Oh, I've really enjoyed this week," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know you did." You know, when you got a pump, you feel like you're coming. They're like, "Yeah, fantastic coaching, right? Check-in done. See you next week." But no, books. If I'm honest, there's not many books. Scott Stevenson's got a book, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I've heard very good things about that. I haven't personally read it. When it comes to courses, you know what? I was looking at that John Jewett J3 University. There's they do like monthly enrollments. I'm thinking about, it's like £425. I was actually thinking about literally buying it so I can watch it when I do cardio. I actually quite like the idea. I like anything like that. The vast majority of my spare time, I listen to one podcast a day. I just work through like a selection of podcasts. So I've listened to every single No Switch fitness podcast. I've listened to all the Muscle Mentors ones. So that's my way of kind of learning currently. When I was starting out, it was more so YouTube videos. The problem is YouTube now, there's a lot of actually better individuals out there, but there's a lot of crap on YouTube, like a lot of shit. So you have to kind of know who to watch. But YouTube podcasts, whether that's like Spotify or on YouTube on itself, or like likewise members websites. I'm a member of the Physique Collective one, and then likewise the JP one. So they've got some great videos. More so that's the PD kind of sections, both of them, if I'm honest. There's still stuff to take from natural training, and likewise training in general. Like the forums on both of those are class. Like I read through them if I've got a spare minute or whatever. But there's plenty of resources available to you online, and likewise people that you follow on Instagram. If you go and follow all the top coaches out there, like you'll no doubt pick up things and you'll go, okay, cool, that's their rationale, that's what they think about that, how can I infer that to my own training? But yeah, if we were to recommend anything, is there anything that you would kind of highlight as like a non-negotiable? Like we've said before on the podcast, like we've literally probably watched the vast majority of YouTube videos from 2013 to probably 2021. Like, you know what I mean? Like I've probably watched the vast majority of podcasts here and there, you know?
Yeah, I think in terms of like you're always going to favor some people as well. Like I'd say there is a bit of a bias behind it. So like, for example, like you obviously saying like the Physique Collective, like obviously we know who that is, and obviously we know that they produce good content, but a lot of people might not know who they are, and they might follow other people who also produce good content. So I think there is a bias behind it. So obviously, you know, I wouldn't say just take one person's advice or just a couple of people's advice. Take, you know, a lot of information from different places, and obviously have your own opinion as well. Because a lot of the time, like even for us, we make decisions based on anecdote and based on experience a lot of the time. It's not always got to be because this research study says so or because this person says so. Like a lot of the time you can over the time spent coaching, especially because obviously asked about coaching, like you can make decisions based solely on experience. Like when I first started, for example, like every client that I set up, I was doing the Harris Benedict formula to calculate their calories and then and the macros. And now, like, I literally just go from experience, from how they look, from their application and their their daily lifestyle and how I expect them to train based on their photos and stuff. And more often than not, it's very, very accurate to where we want the macros to be. And likewise, if it's not, then we change it. Like, it's not a problem. But yeah, I would say people like Brad Schoenfeld, Eric Helms, those kind of guys, like the team 3DMJ, they're all good. Scott Stevenson, like you said, even like, obviously, I think it's good to take different parts of knowledge and learning from different people. So like, for example, like JP puts out a good amount of educational content, but I would argue that just how he trains and his training intensity is the main valuable or the main value you can take from his content, is how hard he trains and his insight into training, his passion for training. But then you've got other people who, probably don't train anywhere near as hard, who maybe provide different kind of educational content, and you might take something from them and something from someone else. So there's always, going to be loads of resources. But like you say, it's a case of, actually sort of fishing through the good and the bad, and actually having your own opinion on things as well, and thinking critically about things. Don't just because you've read something doesn't mean it's true, or because you've listened to one podcast and then you maybe listen to others that contradict it, doesn't mean the first one is necessarily correct or the second one is necessarily correct. Like there's so much grey area in the industry.
Oh yeah, if you went and got Mike Israel here, and then you go JP through, and then you literally get JP. And the funny thing is, their thought processes are incredibly similar, but the way they go about things is completely different. And if you were to listen
either
to
right or wrong, like this is what people like,
and then you have like, let's say Joe Jeffrey and his training philosophies in the middle, it's almost a perfect blend between the reps in reserve approach and then the go balls to the wall, 0 reps in reserve, everything taken to failure kind of approach. And then you come to the agreement that like training hard, training with good intensity or perceived intensity relative to effort, like that is going to be a driver of progress, but it's just construed in different ways. So for example, with like Mike, he'll start a mesocycle with 3 RAR and then he progresses from 2 to 1. And Mike trains really, really hard still, like trains very well. It's just sessions are shorter. There's no screaming. It's very like, it's full range of motion and everything. Where you see JP, if you watch JP vids from 3 years ago, form is not the best on some movements. Execution, like I said, probably a bit off. Intensity is ridiculous, like forced reps here and there. Like it's a completely different ball game. And if you were just to watch them from a visual standpoint, you'd say this is completely different. You then listen to them on podcasts and you go, they have completely different thought processes. But in reality, they're fairly similar. You just kind of have to.
Principles are the same. It's just how
you just have to underpin the mechanisms of what's going to be productive. That's why I like Matt Jansen from a coaching standpoint, because if you actually listen to what he says, it's literally form. He nails execution and gets his guys to train hard. Like, and that's what he like. Any podcast he's on, anything, he doesn't go into detail. He just says, "I assess execution. I get my guys to train hard." Like, listen to any podcast, and that's all he mentions. Like, if it comes to just training and how to optimize and grow, like, obviously we'll go into the PD side of things, but the basics for him is just that. And I really like that approach, because there's no overcomplicating it and trying to reinvent the wheel and do this, do that. It's literally get your execution on point, train hard, grow.
It is that simple, really. Like, you can go into volume and everything like that, but I think once you get to a point, especially, at that kind of level, your volume is going to dictate itself. You're going to know if you're doing too much, or you could maybe do more. But yeah, it is. It's a shame, really. There's so much out there, like you say, and it is really that simple. Like, if you can nail your form and then just get stronger over time, like you're going to grow. And people overcomplicate it, thinking, "Oh, am I doing this right? Am I doing that right?" And it's basically, if you're doing those basics, you're probably going to be growing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Right, I got a good question. This might be the last one that is actually decent. I'll have a read through, but this came through as I refreshed just then. It's actually a good one. Top 3 favorite pieces of equipment ever. Quite like this. I like anything that puts a bit of a ever. Yeah, it has to be ever. So unfortunately, the Matrix dual arm row, can't be having that, which is a big shame. Probably the best dual arm row.
We agree? Have we got to agree on 3?
I don't know about agree. We can go from one. So yeah, top 3 favorites. I almost want to split this up: 1 push, 1 pull, 1 lower. That's almost what I want to go from.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, so lower, I think it has to be like, I know you won't want to say like the Cybex hack, but I think it has to be a hack, like, or a leg press. It has to be. Like, imagine you got one lower bit of kit and you're like, oh, the prime leg extension, you know.
Yeah,
like, it's a good bit of kit.
This question's so hard because are we thinking of our favourite piece of kit? Are we thinking of the actual best piece of kit?
No,
or are we
I think favourite.
If you had one piece, what would you choose? Because they're all 3 different things.
Yeah, I think top 3 favourite. Like, what's 3 bits of kit that you just love to get on? That you're like, oh, I can't wait to get on this. That's what I think.
The true squat for me, it's fucking mental.
Okay.
Like the true, it wouldn't be, if I had to choose one lower body movement, it probably wouldn't be that. But, and also this is going to change over time.
Yeah.
Because the true squat is going well at the minute and it feels amazing. I'm like, yeah, true squat. But in 6 months' time, I might not even be doing it. So yeah, it's difficult. But that, at the minute, I'd say the true squat for lower.
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually going to take away the decision. I'm not going to say a lower. I'm just going to say 2 uppers or like a 2 pushes. I'm just going to I'll go for like a, I never know. If we're going for a push, I'll leave my lower. Well, I'm not even picking a lower. I'm going to pick two, like literally 3 upper body bits of kit and just go, fuck it. Who needs legs? So yeah, what's your push? What are you going for a push?
It's difficult because we've not done the prime incline for long enough to be like, oh yeah, prime incline.
I like the prime incline though.
Yeah, it's nice, but I almost think like, it sounds fucking boring, but I almost feel like a Smith machine, just like a Smith machine press.
Smith.
Like,
I was thinking of, yeah.
You can't really go wrong. And I think, again, people overcomplicate it, thinking, what's the best machine? And it's like, if you had a Smith machine, like, you could do so much on it, obviously, but like also like you can align yourself perfectly with it. You don't have to worry about the stabilization. It feels the same as like a barbell press. So the level of sort of excitement and intensity is there. So yeah, I think a Smith is probably a good shout for like one of the, obviously it's favorite exercise, isn't it? It's not favorite machine.
Yeah.
Is it favorite exercise or favorite machine?
No, equipment.
Favorite equipment? Oh, Smith machine.
Yeah.
You could do loads on it.
Yeah, Smith, do everything. Yeah, I think I go Smith. I go Nautilus shoulder press. I really like that. It's a shame. Like the Nautilus shoulder press is fantastic.
Why don't you have it in?
Because we're using the prime and it's just like, it's new. But I like the Nautilus shoulder press. I like the Nautilus flat press. That's my 3. Like Smith machine, Nautilus flat press, and Nautilus shoulder press. That's it. Like,
I feel like
cool. The prime extreme row, meh. Like, it's all right. It's good.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
I don't think there's anything that stands out as being excessively amazing to be like, oh, this. So yeah, I guess the Cybex hack is good, but it's just so harsh on the bottom. Yeah, I would say like, if I had to choose 3 as of right now, the true squat, a Smith machine press, and fucking barbell for a barbell row.
Yeah. It's a challenging one. I like it changes. Like, if you were to ask me this a year ago, my answer is completely different. Likewise, you ask me a year
favorite pieces of equipment, though, yeah.
I like a Cybex hack. Cybex hack would be in. Like, if I'm honest, like,
the question is favorite pieces of equipment.
What'd you say?
What's the question again?
Top 3 favorite pieces of equipment ever.
Barbell, dumbbells,
cable,
or cable.
Ooh, yeah.
There we go. We've been overcomplicating
it. Down, spot on. Right, move on. Have you got any more? Like, I've got a few more, but they're not the best.
I got a few more, mate.
Go for it.
This is from Big Perrin. Thanks for the question, mate. Are you proud and take pride in Reece coaching him to stage?
Oh, fucking hell. No, this is what the episode's going to be titled.
On a serious note, I'd say, like, yeah, obviously, it's like you'd be proud of a mate when they're competing and stepping on stage. Like, obviously, like you said, like last year, you're proud of me, but not in like a way of me coaching him or me even overlooking him or watching and giving him my opinion. Like, not in that kind of sense, just in a sense of like, it'll be cool to see the hard work that you've put in on stage. So I'm proud of that kind of thing. More so proud of the time. Like, it's the time that you put in to grow. I couldn't really care that much about the prep itself. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's more so the time beforehand that is worthy of being proud. You know what I mean? But not really that proud.
Are you proud of me? Are you proud of me? Not really. Oh, I thought you were gonna say yeah. Cheers, mate.
I'm,
I was proud. I was proud of you, mate. I was proud more so of that front relaxed. The front relaxed was such a good pose for Finn. He managed to pull it, and he only had his hands 6 inches lower than he needed to. It was fantastic.
I still hit it like that now, but it just looks better because I'm a bit fatter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, makes sense. But yeah, it's a weird one. You put the work in, you don't even realize, like, you don't even enjoy the moment, and you won't, like, Finn won't feel any real emotion, and even then, like, even when I step on stage, it'll be sound. That was good. Like, that is it.
I'll be
There's not
proud,
really
mate,
going to be
as a coach when we get that
as a
pro
coach.
card, mate. We'll get that pro card this year. I'm gonna
Oh,
be so
mate,
proud.
Drew Physique.
No,
Message me today, and big shout out to Drew. Message me saying like IFBB Pro Reece Fit, and I replied back like first year competing instant pro. I said imagine. I was like a few years off, mate, cheers. And then he replied like, no mate, genuinely looking for not like phenomenal. Olympia stage is yours soon. And I went like, I replied back and I was like, I don't know if you're being sarcastic, mate, and this is the body dysmorphia talking, but I was like, cheers, but no. Like, I was like, no chance. And he was like, no, honestly, mate. And I was like, wow, if Drew Physique is saying,
did you say
like,
to him it's all that half range pressing?
honestly, the best my chest has ever come up is when I literally was pressing with like not full range of motion during lockdown. Can't complain. Cannot complain. Right. I got a new one come through. Is it worth to hip hinge when everybody gets hurt someday or trying to progress in other movements? No, everyone gets hurt. Every single person.
It's quite a good question because it is true.
Like, he's literally looked at his lower back and just thought, this ain't worth it. Like, he's gone into the gym, saw a hip hinge, and he's gone, I just don't want this. Like, it's just not worth it. He knows one day he's going to be disabled and just be fucked. So he's like, nah, fuck it.
He's probably heard a lot of people like, foot my back on a deadlift, foot my back on an RDL. So he's just trying to be careful. And I don't blame him. But then I'd also argue, like, you could say that on anything. You know what?
You should say to him, do you want to shit back? Like, you get a client, I don't want to hip hinge because I just don't want to get injured. You're like, right, first week, do you want to shit back? Your back shit.
First week, you got 3 deadlifts across the week. Yeah. You got an RDL.
You got a bent row, you got a stiff leg, and you got an RDL. You're like, right, crack on, mate. You'll be fine.
So as a serious answer, I would say if your execution is good, and if you're tentative with your progression, and you're not just stupid and chasing numbers, then it's unlikely that you will hurt yourself. If you do, it won't be a major issue that means you're out for ages and can never do it again. It's not maybe not as common as it seems that people will hurt themselves on it. I don't think it's, especially at, like, I don't know who asked the question, but if someone who's asking the question is questioning whether or not to do a hinge, then I would argue that they're not really going to be moving enough load to put themselves at that much risk.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Even though, mate, you've had back issues and you've never even hinged more than 200.
I know.
You never got above 4 plates. And he's like, oh, back issues.
I have. Just having
I got my back snapped in half from a 250. At least I can say it was a 251, actually. At least I can say that happened.
You didn't at all, though. Nothing happened. You just stopped the set, bottled it, and were like, my back. Can't do it for...
The worst thing is, it looked like I had 1 rep in reserve. That's the most annoying thing.
You did. You were sound. You just didn't want it.
Yeah. Just didn't want it. For the next 3 months, just didn't want an RDL.
This is from... I've got 2 questions from Ewan Fisher. Should I ever go over 1.8? Huh?
I feel like I know his name, Ewan Fisher.
Should I ever go over 1.8 grams per pound of body weight on a protein goal? It's quite high. 1.8 grams.
1.8 per pound.
That's pretty high.
Yeah, that is high. So I thought he meant kg. So I was initially going to say
if he does mean kg, then yes, you can go over that. But I would say it's pretty excessive. Like almost 2 grams per pound is pretty excessive. You don't need
definitely
to be.
Yeah, if you're 200 pounds, you don't need any more than 300 grams of protein.
400.
It'd be like 380.
It's pretty excessive, that. So I wouldn't say so.
Yeah.
I would generally say, like, obviously it's very sort of, everybody will say 1 gram per pound, but I quite like a little bit more than that, regardless of gaining or dieting, and if anything, even a little bit more when dieting. But I like to generally put people on a little bit more than 1 gram per pound. I don't go off a certain amount. It's not like I'll look at their body weight and multiply it like, right, you're going to be on this.
No.
But I like a little bit over a gram per pound, maybe even more so when they're in a diet phase.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, it depends. I'm guessing. I've never heard anybody say 1.8.
Yeah, maybe it does mean per kilo.
Yeah. If so, yeah. You
If
can
so,
go
you
above
can you can get away with a good amount more, but not.
Yeah.
I'd say what it's 1.6 to 2.2, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like
1.6
the recommendation.
to 2.2. But the problem is you then go off MPS and it gives you a completely different outcome. So you could easily go above 2.2.
Yeah, that's what I was saying that to a client in a check-in today. I was like, obviously, total protein is important, but it's more, if anything, it's a lot more important, how you're actually consuming that across the day and how you're spiking MPS.
Yeah, because like if you were to look at yours, your protein, your max threshold, if it was 2.2, would be literally your body weight in pounds currently. So you shouldn't be exceeding 200 grams of protein. But if you were to then go off the MPS model of, let's say, 4 to 6 meals a day, or 20 to 40 grams, you're easily exceeding the 200 gram threshold if you were to go anything above 4 or 5 meals at like 30 to 40 grams.
Yeah, but you could also
meals
argue...
at 40 grams is 240 grams of protein. So that's 240 grams of complete protein. So then you argue with the traces, like you could maybe get away with 280 to 300 grams of protein. So yeah. I would always say, go above the goal, depending on a lot of factors. But if I'm honest, like I usually would start off a client on in between, like if they're, let's say 100 kilos, probably start them off at 220 around there. And if they need more protein, work your protein up. It's one of those things that you can literally just gauge how you feel and how you recover. And could you get benefit from more protein? If so, have more protein.
Yeah, I do think like generally most people will benefit from overshooting because there's not going to be that, or really, if any, negative sort of, there's not going to be any negatives of slightly over consuming protein. Like, you might not be utilizing that protein towards gaining muscle, but it's still going to be providing you with energy, and it's going to be very difficult to convert that protein into fat. Like, it's unlikely that you're going to actually store it as body fat. So I would generally say, go a little bit over that sort of 1 gram per pound or 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilo.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's all good. Right. Do you think bodybuilding is a sport?
Yeah, I guess if a sport is, anything where people compete against each other to come out on top and be a winner or a loser, then that is bodybuilding still.
Yeah. No,
but I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one. Isn't it? You could be like, competitive bodybuilding, because a lot of people will call themselves a bodybuilder, but they don't actually compete, because in reality they are building their body. They're trying to get bigger, and that is, I guess, the definition of bodybuilding is to try and build your body up. So
you wouldn't say you're a footballer though if you're playing six-a-side, would you?
I'd class myself as a bowler.
Yeah, you would. Of course you would.
But I know what you mean. Like you say, would you wouldn't class yourself as a bodybuilder? Like if you weren't, would you class yourself as a bodybuilder if you weren't a pro bodybuilder?
Yeah.
Like,
I got asked if I was a bodybuilder today. My car got picked up, and they go, "You're a rugby player," and I go, "No," and they go, "You're a bodybuilder," and I went, "No, I'm a physique competitor. I'm skinny." I was like, I'm competing the back end of the year, actually, September 26th. But no, they actually mentioned that to me, and they said, I was like, "Oh, I am actually competing." And they're like, "So you're a bodybuilder?" I'm like, "No, not really." I was like, "I do physique." I said, "It's skinny bodybuilding." And they're like, "Oh, okay, makes sense." And the guy asked, "Can I touch your pec?" And I went, "Nah."
Really? What the fuck?
Yeah, mate, they're picking my car up, and we stood here, and he just goes like, he's like, "Wow, look at the size of you." And I was like, "Oh, cheers, mate." And he's like, can I? And I was like, "Nah." Didn't know what to say. I'm not going to be like, "Yeah, go for it, bro."
Yeah, sure,
I just looked at him and just kind of laughed and went, "Nah."
But then also, saying no seems a bit weird, because it's like, well, why?
Yeah, I don't know, why can't I? And I'm like, yeah, it's just a bit weird.
Why? Why can't?
No, more so. I've done my cardio. I've gone for a walk, so I'm like still quite sweaty. I was about to hop in the shower, and then they come and pick my car up, and I'm just like, going out, and then like you get in. It's like, mate, just get the car. I got check-ins to do, mate. Do you know how many check-ins I got today? Like, please, I need to crack on. Like, I'm listening to a WhatsApp voice note, and they're like, "You're right, mate." I'm like, "Yeah, just get back to a check-in, please. Give me some time."
So busy.
Yeah, I'm just so busy, mate. Right, that's me done. I got asked a few more, like how train your arms with big volume on bulk. So that's literally and then I got another one. How many sets you do to back on and pec on bulk? Like, I don't know. Like Edu Caress. That's who he's asked. So to answer. Yeah, he said, yeah, I feel like I've kind of made a bit of a joke out of him there, so I won't. His English probably isn't too great. I train my arms with bigger volume on a bulk. I mean, you can get away with slightly higher volume because recovery capability is going to be in a better spot. I was training my biceps 4 times a week, so that was every session. And then how many sets do I do for back and pec on bulk? I don't really know, 10 to 12, but it depends on per week, per session, like, you know.
Depends, doesn't it? I think people, like, I find it crazy that people like properly monitor their volume like insanely closely.
Yeah.
Like for me, like I have it set, and if I can do a bit more, then I'll do a bit more. Like, you know, if I'm feeling like I can recover and I can actually perform well, and if I don't, like for example, I've loads of times been like, oh, I could maybe add a set here. I'll do the set, and it's obviously like with less load, and it just ends up being a bit shit. I'm like, oh, probably no point in adding that set in. So I think people overthink it. Focus on your intensity, focus on your execution, and just getting strong. Don't overthink your volume.
Yeah, I agree. Right, that's me done, mate. Any questions to conclude, or is that everything?
I've got 2 more, mate. Are you done? Have you got to go, though?
No, let me just look outside the window. I want to make sure the car's not here.
Completely forgot we're on a podcast and just left it silent for a few seconds. Reece has gone. I'm not going to pause this. For anybody watching on YouTube, I seem to have got something in my eye, so I was just dabbing my eye with my t-shirt. While Reece is gone, I might as well do these questions.
Back,
mate. I completely forgot we're on the podcast, and I just let you go, and I was just like, didn't say anything. Completely forgot, and I was dabbing my eye because I got something in my eye. But I've explained it to the listeners, so don't worry. Anyway, another one from Ewan Fisher. How often do you change pull, push, leg setup?
So what, the actual setup of the exercises?
That's all he's put, mate. How often do you change pull, push, leg setup?
I got asked a question like this the other week, and I kind of gave a bit of a blunt outline, but I just said as little as possible. I don't think I've ever changed my meso unless I'm changing my complete training approach to like the rotation of sessions. So basically, I've never in my entire life that I can remember since I've trained well, ever just decided, right, I'm going to do a brand new training meso, but in the same frequency per week and change everything. It literally is adaptive on a week to week, month to month, to year kind of scale. So for example, I've been training at 4 times a week frequency now for about a year. Like it was just after your show that we transitioned, wasn't it? Yeah. So coming up to about a year, like 10 months. So in those 10 months, I never switched to a brand new approach of like movements. It was literally a sense of, right, I've gone from doing a push, pull, lower, rest, upper, lower to going to a upper, lower. Therefore, I combined the pull and the push session. I made a few manipulations here and there, but the bulk majority of the exercises stayed the same. So I still kept in a hip hinge. It wasn't where like I was like, right, I'm now going to do, instead of a hip hinge, I'm going to do another hip hinge, but I'm going to do 3 working sets and let's say a different rep range or whatever it's going to be. The transition stays fairly similar. And that's something that I always try and preach to clients is like, there will be merit to sometimes switching a training approach and going for a new meso. But even then, the actual intricacies of the meso should stay fairly similar for what's worked in the past. And I would never be like, right, brand new training meso, 20 new exercises that you have to learn. I'd much rather say, right, if a movement's not going well, that's when it will get switched out. And therefore you can run a movement and run an exercise and therefore a split for its natural kind of course until it needs to be taken out because it has some negative feedback attached to it. So yeah, like for example, if I was to break down my training since we came out of like lockdown, because that would actually be quite a good example, it was literally a sense where my session stayed exactly the same. They just got moved for better alternatives for that exercise. And then those exercises have been kept in for the longest duration until they're needed. And some exercises are still in. So when it comes to time frame, I would never switch anything around because what happens is it's very easy to get to a point where you actually start training properly. You've established a neurological connection. You've got a better connectivity kind of with that movement pattern. Then it becomes quite challenging to progress. And because you might not be on it with every variable, you're not progressing. So it's a natural thought process to be like, right, I need to change. When in reality, you need to assess what's outside of the gym that's impacting your progression in the gym, and your movement should stay fairly similar.
Good answer, mate. I agree.
Cheers, mate. Glad to know. But yeah, I really dislike those not that question, because I don't think it's a bad question at all. But I hate the thought process of just making. It's the one pet peeve I have.
I think a lot of people almost do it more so out of enjoyment. Like they don't. Yeah. They probably know it's not optimal, but they're just like, right, new meso means I'm going to change this, this, and this, and it's like you really don't need to. Like you said exactly. Like I'll have clients. We'll go into a new meso. Nothing changes. We only go into it maybe because we've done a deload or a devolume or whatever reason we maybe go into one. Sometimes we'll make changes week 4 into a 7-week meso. Sometimes we will make changes week 1, week 2. Like completely doesn't really. There's no sort of outline to exactly what we do. It's just completely dependent as we go along as to what needs adjusting, and then we go as it is. We don't think, new meso means change X, Y, and Z. I think that's more so. Again, it's like a fashionable thing. People want to do that because it maybe looks good or it's more enjoyable, but it's probably not the best. No, it's definitely not the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Ready for the final one?
Final question of episode 18, guys. Buckle up.
So this is from Radu Popescu.
Mate, he was the one who asked me about the hip hinge.
Was it?
Yeah.
So how to avoid elbow and knee joints problems.
This guy's battered.
During your career.
This guy's fucked, man. He's just done. He's got injuries everywhere.
So generally, I would, first of all, assess your execution. More often than not, your elbows and your knees are probably going to be taking like unnecessary strain if your execution is not great. Like even like little things like if you're not aligning a movement correctly, like a press, for example, or a leg press, like if you're letting your knees cave in, your knees are going to be taking more strain. So yeah, focus on your alignment and your execution. Generally focus on being in control of the load. Like obviously it's all well and good to get strong and be chucking, a lot of weight about, but if you're not in control of that load, you're going to be putting a lot of that stress again through your joints. So if you're bouncing out the bottom of a squat or bouncing out the bottom of a press, again, a lot of that is going to go onto your joints rather than trying to keep the stimulus through the target muscle. Then you could look at things like preventative measures, like using elbow sleeves, knee sleeves. They're not going to completely prevent you from, running into niggles, but they're going to likely, warm the joint up and give you a bit more sort of support there, even if it is just psychologically having a bit more support there. But still, wearing knee sleeves isn't going to take away from having a horrendous leg press, or, wearing elbow sleeves isn't going to take away from your elbow angle being awful on a shoulder press. But they can help just warmth the area. And then you could look at things like, using joint formulas to help once they are occurring. But I don't mind people using joint formulas. I don't think it's a bad idea, but I do think it's simply just an anti-inflammatory. So you're not actually, reducing the issue. You're if anything, you're just putting a plaster over the issue and just carrying on, which again, when you're training at a high level and you're getting strong, probably isn't a bad idea because, your goals are probably going to outweigh, a bit of pain in your elbows and your knees. Again, it comes down to the level that you're at and the level you want to push yourself to. You could just argue, don't do any heavy pressing, don't do any heavy leg work. And every time you feel any kind of pain at all, take 2 weeks off training. And then, you're going to probably be, injury free all through your career, but you're probably also not going to really build any muscle, which is probably what you wanted to do.
Yeah. Spot on, mate. All good. Happy with that. So, he doesn't want a hip hinge and he's got elbow.
No hip hinges, no leg presses or upper body presses, just rows. Yeah. Actually, no rows because you might hurt your elbows.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if we're going to give him anything, I think banded movements. I mean, there's going to be minimal eccentric loading. So only concentric really, holds on contraction. Like just get a good pump and you'll be fine, Popu.
To be fair, we're not taking the piss. I feel like
no, that like comes across Radu.
Being sarcastic.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that's the thing. But people listen to that, especially him, and think, God, these guys are bellends. No,
I don't want people to think that we're like directing it at him as an individual because we're not.
Yeah, No, yeah, that's all good, mate. Appreciate the questions to both me and Finn. And that is another episode of the Once You're In Your Own podcast. Believe it or not, guys, we said 4 o'clock we would go to. It's now 53 minutes past 4 because the car that had been said to be delivered between 3 and 4 hasn't been delivered, and I have plans this evening, which is not ideal. Now I don't think I'm gonna have my sunbed, which is annoying, but I might just be late. I'll probably be late and just have the sunbed. Can't be too wrong. But no, other than that, guys, again, thank you guys for listening. If you've got to the end of the podcast, if you have any questions, feel free. Every Tuesday we put up a question box, usually early to late morning, so feel free to ask us them, as it gives us a lot of content to go through in the podcast, and then it gives you guys a chance to ask me and Finn some questions. Again, as mentioned earlier, we will be on Perrin's podcast, so that'll be on his Instagram. We'll share that to our stories. So if you're just dying for more Once You're In Your In podcast without the Once You're In Your In tag, go and watch that. But no, other than that, guys, hopefully everyone's doing well. Appreciate the story tags as always, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.